Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Off the Top Rope. And it's a pretty big week, so we're gonna go ahead and cover everything that happened since SmackDown all the way to the events that occurred last night with the phone rings now. Yeah, so we're gonna cover all the events that happened with the WrestleMania press conference and everything that's kind of been going on because it's kind of been crazy for the
Yeah.
past 5 days or so. Like we did the show last Friday and we kind of talked a little bit about the Royal Rumble fallout and everything kind of hit the fan that night on SmackDown with Cody coming in, relinquishing his Royal Rumble spot and giving it to The Rock. And it was a whole thing that happened on SmackDown with basically just Cody stepping back and giving it to Rock. And you see where they're hugging and The Rock is whispering something in his ear. And then that just led into a whole bunch of stuff that happened throughout the week. Hashtag we want Cody, hashtag, all kinds of stuff, man. All kinds of stuff. It's just been crazy. And we're going to talk about all of it. We're going to get into a little bit AEW stuff toward the end of the show. If you guys want to send in any questions, you can send in questions through the super chat feature, and we'll go ahead and answer any questions whenever that occurs. So, Austin, it's been crazy, man. A lot of people
Very
think this
crazy.
is work. It surprises me how many DTDs out there actually think that this is a work. Like I have 3 really close friends that are like, "Oh, this was planned the whole time," and there's no way in hell. No
Oh,
one can sit there and tell me that this happened and you can see the emotion on Cody. Like, why is The Rock sitting there whispering in his ear? Oh yeah, it's gonna be okay. This is the work. This is gonna happen. Everything's gonna be fine. I'm gonna turn heel and all this crap. Like no one's gonna tell me that's what he whispered in his ear, right?
no.
He whispered in his ear. I don't know for sure, but I'm gonna guess he's like, hey, this is the best for the company. We appreciate you, doing this for us. Don't worry, we'll take care of you later on. And then the fans said, nah, which led into the whole different kind of stuff that happened at last night at the press conference when Cody came out and all that stuff. And then that led into the slap kind of heard around the world. So it's been crazy.
Yeah.
But I want to get your thoughts on it, man. I kind of been rambling. I want to get your thoughts on it.
All right. Well, first, before I cover that, I just want to cover the segment first on SmackDown. That segment sucked. Like that made no sense. Like if you're gonna do a stare down with Rock and Roman, don't have Cody there because then it just makes Cody look lame and look like he's playing second fiddle to The Rock. Or if you want Cody there and this is a work, you could have had Cody be like, "Oh, I'm challenging you at WrestleMania," and then just as he says that, Rock comes out and Roman doesn't even stare at Cody; he's staring at the Rock. Because even in the promo, if that's the case, you could have Roman go, "Cody, really? You're facing me again? Why would I want to do that? I beat you. I beat. Go goodbye." And then like he's more focused on the Rock, and then you could do the press conference. But this could not have been a work because at the way that The Rock is, there's no way The Rock was gonna be like, "Oh, I want to turn heel." No, I
Yeah,
buy it.
if it's a work, then it makes SmackDown segment make no sense whatsoever.
Yeah,
There's no way it makes sense that Cody would come out and say, "Hey, um, um, Cody came out and said, hey, I want to take this from you. I'm going to take everything from you, all this stuff, right? I'm going to take all this stuff from you." Right? There's no way Cody would say that. And then at the end, what people keep failing to understand, Cody says, but not at WrestleMania. People
yeah,
leave that part out. People that are
yeah,
saying, "Oh, it's a work," they leave that part out where he goes, not at WrestleMania. So he says at that time, right there, I'm not going to do it at WrestleMania because I was talking to a legend and they want to take something, they want to take everything from you. And then The Rock comes out, he's like, "Goosebumps, man, look at the goosebumps." And then he comes out and he hugs Cody and he does all the talking with Cody and all that stuff. And it's clear by the conversation that he has in his ear that the plan was Roman versus Rock. Cody was gonna step down, and then they weren't expecting the fan backlash, man. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Because Cody has gotten so popular. Like we're talking mega mega star popular over the course of the past 2 years since he came back to WWE. Like when he did the match with Rollins and like tore his pec into the match, that's where I think he established his credibility. And the sad thing is, I'm not saying a Rock and Roman match can't be done. It was just done at a bad time.
Time, yeah, I agree with you.
Like if they were like, if there are two ways they could have went about it. If they really wanted to do it this year, during the promo on SmackDown, Cody could be like, "Oh, I'm gonna face you, but not at WrestleMania Night 2, because I'm gonna face you Night 1 or Night 2, vice versa." And then you could
Mhm.
do the double main event, because I know everyone's gonna be, "Oh, but Roman needs to break Hogan's record." What if they have Roman break the main event record? Everybody wins here, because
Yeah,
then the company can have Rock face Roman, the fans can have Cody face Roman, everyone wins. Or
yeah,
do the long game like Rock supposedly wanted to do, and have Rock face Roman at 41, which I'm thinking now would have to be the plan.
yeah. Well, the thing was, it's not like I don't want to see Rock versus Roman. I do. I don't want to see it at the expense of Cody. You
Yeah,
know, like finish one story before you start another. Like
yeah,
I think I sat on here last week, and I even said it on our stream last week, was, have Cody take the belt from him, then have Bloodline look at him like, yo, bro, you're not even the champion no more. Like,
yeah,
why should we follow you anymore? And then he's like, I'm the tribal chief, and then The Rock comes in and goes, no, I'm the tribal chief. I'm gonna beat you for it, right? And they didn't do that. The Rock wanted to jump in front of the line.
yeah,
Anyone who thought that this was a work, that it's absolutely ridiculous. The Rock wants people to love him. His ego is so massive. He wants people. You think he likes that Black Adam bombed? You think he likes that Young Rock was canceled and he had to merge the XFL? Like everything is falling apart for this guy because he keeps trying to force himself into things. He did the
yeah,
same thing with DC, right? If he would have just said, hey, you know what? Let them finish this thing with Cody Rhodes, and then we can do WrestleMania big next year. You
yeah.
know, this wasn't like the situation with him versus Cena because there wasn't really a whole lot of stuff going on back at that time.
No,
So that was a 2-year story too, because The Rock came in, he took away the main event from CM Punk, beat him at the Royal Rumble for the title, went to WrestleMania, beat the crap out of Cena, and then, well, actually, I think he beat the crap out of Cena the first time. Then the following year, he beat Punk for the Royal
yeah,
Rumble, and then they had the rematch. Yeah, so I had it reversed, but there wasn't a whole lot going on other
no,
than CM Punk being screwed out of the whole thing. This is a storyline they've been telling since Cody Rhodes got back in. For The Rock to just come in and force himself into that main event, fans are going to resent that,
yeah,
especially hardcore fans that have followed this stuff closely. And a lot of people that are saying, oh, this is a work, they haven't even watched wrestling in years. People's
right,
like, oh yeah, it's a work, It's like, bro, like, do you know the first thing? And I have, like I said, I have more than one friend. I have like 3 or 4 friends that are all saying this is work. And I'm like, you don't even pay attention to what's going on. Like, you have no idea what's going on. You're just seeing highlights and stuff like that, and you're automatically making that assumption. You have no idea about The Rock signing that contract with TKO on January 3rd, guaranteeing him a main event for $30 million. And you think The Rock is going to say, oh, yeah, I'm going to come out, I'm going to hug Cody, whisper in his ear, and then I'm going to completely just turn heel and slap him 5 days later. Like, what? No, that does
yeah,
not make
no,
any sense at all. Fucking Ray Charles can see that.
yeah,
Like, it makes no sense at all. I mean, I like this direction now that they course corrected. I like that. The problem with this direction now, it makes Roman seem irrelevant.
yeah,
It may like Roman. This is the dude that's supposed to be the tribal chief that we're supposed to acknowledge him, and then The Rock made him look like a bitch, man. Like he was just sitting back there not doing nothing, and The Rock was doing all the talking. Right. Like if someone would to watch that, who do you think is the alpha and who do you think is the beta in that tribe right there?
Rock,
Yeah, The Rock came in and made the tribal chief look like the tribal bitch.
yeah,
And that's not good for The Rock. Muddied everything. He did.
Yeah.
He took the shine away from Cody and telling a story. Now they're doing this whole heel thing, which I like. Like I wrote on Facebook, like, this is the biggest thing since Hogan at NWO. But in the process of doing that, you cut Roman Reigns' balls off.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just, yeah, I don't like it. I don't like it.
I think if this was a work, why did you have Cody win the Rumble again? And then if you really want to do this whole thing with Rock, Cody, Roman, why didn't you just have Rock come out, screw Cody out of the Rumble, have him win, and then have Cody like be like, no, I need to finish the story, screw you, Rock.
Yeah,
Like that would have made more sense. But here it's clear they course corrected, and I appreciate that. I'm glad that they're not tone deaf and going, nope, we're still doing
yeah,
Rock and Roman. We don't care what you want. Now
yeah,
they're like, okay, clearly this is what the fans want, and I at least appreciate. Like, I don't know if this was like an audible by Triple H or The Rock. Somebody said like, no, this is not working. But I'm glad they course corrected. I'm glad they did it in a way that made it feel unexpected and go, oh, that's kind of neat because because I know we've talked about predictability a little bit
hmm,
beforehand. They did it in a way where it wasn't really predictable, which I'll give them that. But it's just the way they go moving forward is where it's going to count more because they have something really hot right now. They just have to capitalize on it.
yeah. I think they could take this story and make it a 3-year story.
They can.
If done right, I think if they were smart, and I think The Rock is smart. I think he lets his ego get in the way of his intelligence sometimes, right? I think I think he truly believed Roman versus The Rock was the biggest match that they could possibly do this year at WrestleMania. I think he truly believed that. And not stepping over Cody, but he felt like he was more of a draw than Cody, not realizing people were invested in the Cody storyline.
Yeah.
But they can take this and twist it into 3 years worth of story. Last
Yeah.
year, this year, and next year, right? If you guys are coming in, please do me a favor. We have a few people watching. I appreciate everybody joining us live this afternoon on a Friday. Please do me a favor and smash that thumbs up button when you come in. If you guys leave any questions using the super chat feature, we will definitely get them to your questions throughout the show. So yeah, I feel like an easy way to make this a win-win for everybody is to have you make it a triple threat match, right?
Yeah.
I would say make it a triple threat match, and then it looks like now Cody's stacked up against both The Rock and Roman, and then I would say have The Rock at one point rock bottom Roman. Cody does something, and then The Rock looks at Cody, and The Rock just walks off and let Cody does the pin, right? And then that's sort of like the Mike Tyson thing that
Yeah.
happened at WrestleMania 14, right? That will then do two things. It will then finish Cody's story and then start a new story between The Rock and Roman. Roman, like, you cost me everything, blah, blah, blah. And The Rock will be like, man, I gave you everything. I am the real tribal chief. And then that sets up for next year's WrestleMania, which makes more sense as long-term storytelling, right? They did the same thing with Rock versus Cena, right? It was a 2-year story, right? Do the same exact thing, but just kind of role reverse it, right? I can't see them keeping The Rock heel. I would love them to do that, but there's no way his ego is going to allow him. Every time he went to go talk last night, he got booed out of the damn way. Like he tried to do the finally. People didn't want to hear that shit. Don't come out here saying finally and all. No one cares. They booed. It was almost like Dom was up there. They didn't want him to talk whatsoever. And I'm glad he fed into that, knowing that was going to happen, but that's what happens when you come in. They did the same thing to Daniel Bryan.
Yeah.
Right? Daniel Bryan was set up to go to WrestleMania, and what happened? Batista came back, and they're like, oh no, we're going to do Batista. I think it was Batista versus Orton at WrestleMania, right? Yeah. And the fans like, no. And they completely hijacked the shows, and they had no choice but to put Daniel Bryan in the match. It's the same exact situation.
Yeah.
So, but in terms of this one, they can do many different outcomes into this. I really enjoyed that Seth Rollins backed Cody up. Like when The Rock slapped, Cody, Seth jumped in his shit. Like
Yeah.
Seth ran. Like I thought that was fantastic. It really shows the respect that those two have for each other. Where he fits into all this, who the hell even knows?
We
Who the
won't
hell
know.
even knows? Yeah.
And kind of going back to the kind of like what we could see happen, I think something that maybe more unexpected that maybe won't happen, but I would like to see happen is we still have the Cody Roman singles match. Rock helps Cody, but then you keep Rock a heel. Cody can stay a face. Like maybe have like Rock like help Cody, then have rock bottom Cody at the end of the show or something. Keep him heel and have Rock be like, okay, Roman, I did what I did at WrestleMania because you need to learn your place. Because you
Yeah.
call yourself the tribal chief. But look at me. I'm the like you could lean into heel Rock. Have him go, look, I'm the biggest star in Hollywood. I'm in the board of directors, and what are you? Like you call yourself a big star? You're not nothing. You're nothing compared to me. I'm the guy. And then
Yeah.
have like, and you don't necessarily have to turn Roman to a baby face here, because realistically, it wouldn't make a lot of sense for Roman to
No.
go 3 years and then have him turn into a baby face. Everyone would be like, "Yeah, Roman, we respect you," and everyone's like, "No, the guy's an asshole." Like, because
Yeah.
this would make Drew McIntyre on Twitter go, "Wait, whoa, 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 we're not doing this." Because he was like this with Jay, where he's like, "No, no, 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 no,
Yeah.
we're not doing that." So there are layers you can go here. I think the triple threat would make most sense, because if Rock's got a main event, you don't want Rock main eventing in a singles match, because he can
Yeah.
he'll get gassed in about the first 5 minutes. Let Cody and Roman do most of the work. Have Rock do his spots. It well, I think that will probably be the more likely scenario, but I want them to do something a little bit more unexpected and maybe do something with a little bit more layer to it.
Yeah. No, I agree. I've been following a lot of the main podcasts and channels in the past 24 hours trying to make sense of everything that's going on. A lot of people are throwing some crazy stuff out for match ideas at Mania. I don't know how many of them seem realistic. Some people are saying like, oh, maybe they'll do a tag match on night one, Seth and Cody versus Rock and Roman, and then night two will be Rock and or Cody and Roman. Okay, but then where does that leave the World Heavyweight Championship with Seth? He's not going to defend that at WrestleMania. You're going to make Seth wrestle twice. So to me, it doesn't make sense. You're going to make Seth, Roman, and Cody all wrestle twice
Yeah,
just so you can have The Rock in a match. And then they were like, well, maybe Cody versus The Rock one night, and then Cody versus Roman the next night. Okay, I guess that kind of makes sense too. But why would Cody have to wrestle The Rock? You know,
right.
like he got his match. He doesn't have to wrestle twice. So there's a lot of sloppiness going on. The only thing to me, the triple threat match is the only one that makes it feels cleaner. You know, it's
Yeah,
not as messy because The Rock gets his contract as the main event that he wanted. It gives Cody to finish the story, and then boom, everything is all kosher. And then
yeah,
Seth can defend his title against the winner of the men's elimination chamber. So to me that makes a clean break, nice and easy that way. But people are throwing all kinds of different match types that can happen, and I just don't see any wrestlers wrestling more than once in the main event or at WrestleMania. I mean, it's possible. It's possible. I just don't see how that's going
yeah.
to go down, to be honest with you.
I know I've heard people say they want oh, do Roman Rock night one or Cody Roman night two, but realistically, is Roman really gonna wrestle 2 nights in a row?
Yeah, you can't even get him to wrestle twice in a month. You want to have
Right?
him wrestle twice in a weekend, and the Roman Rock thing doesn't make any sense anymore.
Yeah,
So why? 'Cause I heard the same thing. Well, you have Rock and Roman night one. That doesn't make any sense no more. They aligned with
yeah,
each other. You know that made sense back on SmackDown when it was Cody stepping down and Rock was going to put Roman in his place. But by the Rock going, no, he's my family and all this, that literally put them together. So
yeah,
that match, that one-on-one match makes no sense anymore. They even have.
yeah. And I will say too, the press conference was expertly done. I will they do all the swerves that you'd expect them to do. Like they're like, oh, Roman's gonna face The Rock, and everyone like it's like you're kind of going through like the 5 stages of grief during that segment as a Cody fan, because like you got the denial stage, like no, there's no way they're doing this, and then you have the anger when like Roman's like, oh, I'm facing The Rock, and I was like, of course this is what we're gonna do, and then we're bargaining, and we're like, no, please, 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 for the love of God, do not do
Mhm.
this, and then you have yeah, then you're in that acceptance stage of like, oh, all right, I guess. But then Cody comes out, and we're like, oh, thank God, there's gonna be something there.
Yeah.
But it just that whole segment, I think, was perfectly done. That I think the way that the press conference set up, and maybe this is where I'm interpreting it, is they're probably gonna have Rock and Roman versus Seth and Cody at in Australia for Elimination Chamber, and then have uh Cody and then maybe do the triple threat at WrestleMania if that's where they're going with it.
Mhm.
I heard someone say like maybe Rock ends up costing like the tag match for something, and maybe like Roman and Rock have a little conflict. There's a lot of avenues they can go here. I just don't want to see the tag match at WrestleMania night one, because I've also seen some people make a good point. Like Io Sky and Bailey should be the main event of night one, because
They won the Royal Rumble, or because Bailey won the Royal Rumble.
that, and I know, like, as much as I wasn't a fan of the Damage Control storyline in the group, I can at least say there's like a 2-year build there between them, and I mean, if you're gonna use that excuse for Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens versus the Usos last year, you kind of have to play devil's advocate and say that match makes the most sense main eventing night one, and then have triple threat night two, or Cody Rock or
See,
Cody Roman.
to me, this is just my opinion.
Yeah,
I don't think the Bailey Damage Control storyline is good enough. Though I don't think there
yeah,
nothing against the two women involved.
yeah,
But and I have nothing against women main event in WrestleMania night one. I don't have a problem with that at all. I just feel like these two particular ones doesn't scream main event to me,
yeah.
right? Becky versus Rhea screams main event.
That is main
You
event.
know,
Yeah,
Rhea versus anybody is main event, right? To me, that screams main event. I understand the women's, as far as I'm concerned, or as far as I know, rather, it it says winner of women's Royal Rumble gets a title shot. It doesn't say you get a main event shot.
yeah,
You know, I just don't see Bailey and Io being a main event type draw. Not saying a match, because they could have an
right.
awesome match, right? Like
Yeah,
they're really good wrestlers. They could have an awesome match. I just don't see it as, man, you're gonna put that on the poster and be like, that's your main event for night one. And people are gonna be like, holy crap, I gotta tune in for that match. I don't see that. I see a lot of people going, oh, this is the final match. Okay, I'm gonna go to bed early, you know, or
yeah,
something like that. Unfortunately, but when you have someone who's like unstoppable, like Rhea, and you get someone like Becky or whoever they decide to go against Rhea, to me that's the better match, right?
yeah,
I would have much prefer if Bailey chose Rhea. Then you can argue, okay, I can see that as the main event, you know.
yeah,
But Io Sky, like I understand the and to me, I feel like the damage control thing was just kind of like put out of nowhere. Right? They were
yeah,
all fine, and then last week, oh, you guys were talking behind my back this entire time. Blah blah. Like, where the hell did this come from?
yeah.
And for people to say that should be a main event, I don't see that as a draw for a main event. I don't.
I do agree with that. I'm trying to just see like how night one could play out, because Cody and Roman are more than likely going to main event night two. Like that's
Yeah,
Roman is not maining night one. If that's the case, then I'll eat my shoe if he main events night one. But I'm trying to look at realistically what could I'd say the three possible ones are either Becky, Rhea, which that's more than likely going to be the match at WrestleMania. Io and Bailey if they really want to go down that route, or whatever. Seth Rollins. I think realistically the world title match will probably either be Seth and Drew, or a triple threat where you have Sami Zayn in there to maybe have that have them Drew and Sammy kind of finish up their little story arc and give Drew his moment in front of a crowd, which I think that's the only real thing that they really need to do is let Drew win, let him win the world title, and then maybe have Sami Zayn chase after it, and then either have him win at SummerSlam or have make Sami Zayn like a lot of people have compared him when he was in NXT to Daniel Bryan. I think you
Yeah.
have a Daniel Bryan like scenario with Sami Zayn. It's just I they have to build that up properly, but Drew winning is probably the way to go. I just hope that Damian Priest does not cash in though, because then it would be a waste of time.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, man, because you're trying to figure out like where Damian Priest fits into the whole situation, right? Like,
Yeah,
I feel like the men's elimination chamber, Drew's gonna end up winning that, and he'll
yeah.
end up going to right. You would assume it would be the people in the men's elimination chamber. Was there five, right, total?
Uh, 6, I think.
6? So
Yeah,
it would be Drew versus Gunther versus Damian Priest versus um maybe Sami Zayn, Jey Uso, and I think you throw in like one or two other people,
yeah,
right? And you would assume that that would also set up matches for WrestleMania. So Drew would win, which would put him against Seth for the heavyweight championship. Um, then you would have like Gunther and Jay kind of like feud in the elimination chamber, which will set up the WrestleMania match for the Intercontinental title. And then what happens? Does Drew win the title, and then here comes Damian Priest cashing in on Money in the Bank? The dude had it for almost a year. He's got to cash it in eventually, you
yeah.
know. So I don't know.
I just can't see any real way for Damian Priest to really successfully cash in here because they've made him look weak
I
when he
agree,
had the briefcase. He's looked stupid, and
a
now
hundred percent.
more than likely he and Finn are gonna team up against R Truth and the Miz at WrestleMania. Like that's really the best you could do with him. I mean,
Yeah,
I don't get me wrong. I'm not disrespecting R Truth. He's great. I think he's entertaining. Miz, I respect more now that he's been around long enough. But really, that's your WrestleMania match for them, the Miz and R Truth. Like, come on.
yeah, yeah. It's kind of disappointing, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
It's kind of disappointing. Like Adam, look, I like R Truth a lot, former TNA NWA
yeah,
Heavyweight Champion. People, a big fan of R Truth. I think he's hilarious. But to me, they're a comedy show. Miz and R Truth is a comedy show,
yeah,
and the having Finn Balor and Priest, they're probably going to lose that match. To be honest with you,
yeah. They will.
it just makes Priest look even more ridiculous and incompetent. It's like, how many times did you try to cash it in and failed every single time? I still stand by the fact that Finn Balor should have won that title
Yeah,
months ago, and it should have been like Priest versus Balor, and like when was Priest going to cash it in and have the friction between Judgment Day, right? I just think it's absolutely crazy that this has been going on for so long, because now it just makes Damian Priest look absolutely ridiculous,
yeah,
ridiculous. And I don't, like you said, I don't see any scenario where he cashes in successfully, because they've been making him a cartoon character this entire time.
yeah. I It's not Damian Priest's fault. I will
No,
say
no,
that. You can tell he's trying to work with what
yeah,
he can do.
yeah,
And it's just more like I think just with everything going on, they put themselves in a situation where it just right now isn't going to make a lot of sense.
yeah,
I think because again, I understand with the Money in the Bank, you already got a guaranteed title match. So realistically, you don't necessarily have to be booked to win all the time because it's like, oh, I have the briefcase. I don't need this match because I could
yeah.
be world champion at any point. But
Why was he even in the Royal Rumble?
I
He's already got a title shot whenever he wants it. Why has he
yeah.
got to be in the Royal Rumble? Doesn't make any sense.
Unless maybe he's like, oh, I'm gonna use my briefcase on one belt and then I can win the Rumble and maybe chance for another belt. Like that would
Yeah, but
that
that's speculation. He never
yeah.
even hinted at anything that elaborate.
Yeah, I'm just trying to make it make sense
Yeah,
where
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and Damian Priest is great. The fact that he could work a really good match with Bad Bunny in Puerto Rico,
Yes.
it goes to show the guy really has it. And I am one of those people that have been a fan of Damian Priest since he was in NXT. and he should be a world champion. It's just
Yeah,
right now, because with the main event scene, and I'll give WWE this, the main event scene right now is so stacked with
very
talent
true. Very
that
true.
Damian Priest right now is more getting lost in the shuffle.
Yeah, you get lost in the mix of it. Yep, I
Yeah,
100% agree with you. Like a year ago, after last year's WrestleMania, um, things were kind of up in the air because they introduced the new title. Vince was in charge again, and there wasn't a whole lot going on in the main event scene.
yeah,
Since then, since Triple H took over, they've been pushing, Drew McIntyre. They've been pushing Gunther. Jay's been in the talks. I mean, Sammy's there. Like the main event scene on Raw is absolutely stacked. Like it's
yeah.
crazy how stacked it is over on Raw. Um, but yeah. So anyway, guys, if you guys are coming in, please do me a favor. Smash that thumbs up button. If you have any questions, you can throw it in the super chat feature and we will answer your questions. We're breaking down everything over the course of this past week on WWE. We'll get to a little bit of the AEW stuff later. Not a whole lot of stuff to break down over there. A couple things, but not a whole lot. We'll save the last 15 minutes of the show for AEW. Um, but yeah, man, no, I agree with you on the whole Damian Priest thing. They seriously need. I heard rumors that there's new tag belts that they've been showing off on the house shows, trying to get different fans' reaction. They need to hurry up and introduce those.
Yeah.
I am so tired of these Nickelback looking titles and why each person is carrying two when they're unified. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
I The thing is with unified titles, like I don't mind for the first few months you hold the two titles, like if you're like the first guy to do it, because then you could brag about, oh, look at me, I got all the belts.
Yeah,
I'm the big tough man that won two belts. But then after a while it's I'll use a few examples. Like when Jericho did it, it was almost like a reference to, oh, I beat The Rock and Austin in one
yeah,
match. Here are my two belts that show that.
yeah,
And then when Triple H beat Jericho, he had the one belt because it
yeah,
makes the most sense. And
yeah,
then like Randy Orton, when they unified the world title and WWE title a few years ago, like when he was like, because this was during the whole authority thing. God, that was bad. Like he had the two titles because, oh, I'm the face of the company, and yeah, I know Daniel Bryan then ended up doing it, and then John Cena did it. But then when Brock won it, he had the one belt, and then I don't. The thing is with the unified tag belts, for like when the Usos had it, it made sense because this was during the Bloodline thing, and like it's like, oh, look at us, we have all the gold.
yeah. All these belts. Yeah.
But now it's silly. Um, and granted, the nickel belts look a little better than when they were pennies, but that's not
Yes,
saying much.
that was absolutely awful.
Yeah, I don't know what they were thinking with the pennies. Good God.
I just
Um,
don't think the design of them. I think the tag titles and the intercontinental titles just have awful designs.
yeah.
Awful, awful designs.
I mean, the only redesign they did that looks better was the US title, because the US title
Yeah,
beforehand looked okay, but it was just kind of it was dated. This is an example of an update done well because it looks cleaner. It actually looks prestigious, even though the belt itself's not really prestigious anymore
yeah,
because there's not a lot of care to that. Unlike the IC title, which looks bad, but yet somehow feels more prestigious because of the guy holding it. And
yeah,
I agree the IC title needs to be redesigned. The tag belts definitely need a huge redesign. The world titles need a redesign. The world heavyweight title looks fine. I think out
yeah.
of all the titles, that looks different. And I don't mind when the women have to copy the belt design. Like the women's world
No,
title
I like
Rhea has looks
I
good.
like it.
The white strap really complements the world title,
Yeah,
but the WWE title, the little rectangle, or
yeah,
what I like to call the mustard belt, the ketchup belt, and then the blue belt, they need to change that pronto because that it's just so basic and bland.
yeah.
And
They just slapped the big old WWE logo on it and like, here's your
yeah,
WWE title. Like you go back to like the old days with the wing eagle and then the title that they had in the Attitude Era with the big fucking like circle
yeah,
with the like those belts looked awesome. You
they
know,
did.
I will say that these belts look better than the spinner belt. I
Yeah,
hated the spinner belt. I thought that spinner belt lasted way too long.
it did.
It should have been a John Cena thing only.
Yeah. The thing is, maybe it's just because I'm nostalgic for it, and maybe because I grew up during that time of wrestling. But the spinner belt, granted, it's not a good looking title. It looks like a toy.
Yeah.
But in hindsight, I'm like, okay, did it? It looked fine on Cena. It looked fine on Punk. Like the guys who held it looked fine, but it was one of those like it was like a 2000s thing. I would like to say it's like a 2000s experimental thing. And I think originally it was supposed to be a Cena thing, but then they just went,
Yeah.
"Oh, let's just keep this."
Yeah, we don't wanna change it. We That costs too much money. But
Yeah,
you look at every other company, like TNA has a better world heavyweight
yeah,
championship. I would argue AEW has a better looking AEW, like, World Heavyweight Championship than
yeah.
WWE. Um, I always liked the NWA title. I thought that was awesome.
Oh, it looked
Um,
good.
the IWGP title, I think, looks better than TNA
Yeah,
or, WWE. I just to me, the WWE title, they used to be so creative with them,
yeah,
and now they're like, "Yeah, we're just gonna have this big ass medallion with a big W in the middle," and, like, that's their I like Seth's belt. I don't like the fact that they put the WWE logo in the middle of it though.
yeah,
I still kind of wish they would went back to the big gold, aka WCW title for the World
yeah,
Heavyweight because it has lineage. I always loved the design of that belt. And I
yeah.
just thought that would have been awesome to have, you know.
Now, do you think that that would have put them in conflict with Flair? Because I know Flair is in AEW right now, and I don't know if he has the rights to the belt anymore. But if he did, wouldn't that cause problems with Rick, or
Um,
maybe a licensing issue?
I'm not sure 'cause I didn't know he had licensing with that title. Because as far as I know, that title was owned by Jim Crockett.
Yeah,
And Vince McMahon, well, ended up buying Jim Crockett because Jim Crockett was Jim Crockett was bought by Ted Turner and it was turned into WCW, which Vince McMahon bought WCW, so in turn owns the library for Jim Crockett and all that. So I would assume that the titles go along with that. So
yeah.
I didn't know anything about Ric Flair having any kind of right to that title. I didn't know that was a thing. So yeah, I'm not
Or
entirely sure.
or maybe it's a different one because I know that I think Flair had the old like WCW title and WWE just maybe made a new looking belt. So maybe, oh, maybe they should. I do agree they should have reused it. I'm trying to remember if that's Flair's belt or if that was a WWE um version of it that maybe I'm thinking of.
I'm not sure, man. I'm not sure. I don't the best way to find out is hold on, if that belt is still for sale on WWE.com. Because WWE likes to I'm gonna check WWEshop.com. WWE likes to sell replica belts, and if that belt is still for sale on their website, then I would assume that we got a super chat coming in. No question though, but thank you for Red for throwing it in. I appreciate that. Our first super chat on off the top ropes. Um, I'm trying to look for replica belts. Oh, title belts right here. Yeah, they're still selling it.
Huh.
Yep. Look, I'll pop it up on the screen here. Right there, $32 or $322.
Hmm. So now I find that interesting. So maybe they just wanted to try and modernize it, maybe, but I don't know. It just feels like
And they got different versions of them too.
yeah. Wonder like what necessarily the differences are. Like maybe the material, probably.
Yeah, well, this one right here is a commemorative title. So I believe this is plastic. So it's just cheaper made, I believe. Um Handful superstar blah 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 commemorative. Yeah, it doesn't say, it just says it's commemorative title. And then they have the one with the red strap. That's like $500. Yeah, the ECW title. I always love the ECW. I wanted to get all the
Yeah.
ECW titles. But see, I'm a big fan of belts. I
Yeah,
really want to get the title, the big gold title. I really want that. But the problem is when you buy them, sometimes I want the because sometimes when you buy them, the medallion is flat and it
yeah,
just makes the belt look awful. I want it where the medallion in the middle is kind of curved, so it kind of fits the stomach, so it kind of curves around the stomach. Because
yeah,
that's the way it was on TV. It had a slight curve in it, and all the ones that I see replicas of, it's always like super flat, and that's not the way it's supposed to be. Um, Red threw in a 99-cent super chat, and he said, "I predict when Cody wins the championship, he's bringing back the Eagle belt. That would be awesome.
yeah.
I would love for him to do that. Love for him to do that.
It would definitely
If
look a lot. Maybe bring back the winged eagle with the white strap
yeah,
because that would
yeah,
look
the
good.
wing eagle with the right, yeah, yeah. I love those classic belts, man. Those classic belts are so nice.
They're very nice. I think I especially like them when they have the colored straps and not necessarily the black strap sometimes because I think it makes it pop a little more.
Uh huh.
Like, because I know when they did with the IC title, it looked really good, and then um the white strap because I'm seeing it on the shop right now. They have the winged eagle belt with the white strap. It looks really nice, and I'm like, oh, this honestly could work
Yeah,
as a main title.
yeah, yeah. I 100% agree. 100% agree. So, yeah, man. Yeah, it's been crazy the past couple weeks. I'm curious to see what's going to happen, what the fallout of everything is going to be, and yeah, man, it's just been super crazy. What do you think is going to happen on SmackDown tonight?
Cody is probably gonna cut a promo where he's like, "Oh, I'm main eventing WrestleMania, no matter what." He's probably gonna call out The Rock. I don't think Rock or Roman's gonna show up. I don't think. Um, maybe they'll do something. Oh, well, that's actually a good question because there's a lot of ways they can go about it. I think the realistic one will be Cody just cutting a promo about how The Rock and Roman want to fight. Well, I'll give him like do the generic Cody promo where he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna face them both and I'm gonna win." And I think that's another thing I like about Cody. Is like he makes like being a very lame and cheesy babyface work
Yeah,
because it's so endearing because he's like you have like guys like Seth Rollins who's goofy, you have Bobby Lashley who's kind of like he's cool, and then you have Cody Rhodes who's just a bland guy wearing a suit like cutting it the most cheesy babyface promo of I'm Cody Rhodes, look at me, I've got to finish the story and win, but he does it in a way that makes it so like work, and I think
yeah,
like he's the common man, and I think, and that's what I like about him. Maybe he'll have like maybe Rock or Roman will show up via satellite or something and have a bit of a promo exchange, but I think realistically it's just gonna be like a recap of the press conference and Cody does a promo. That's kind of
yeah,
what I'm thinking.
yeah. I think Cody might show up. Um, I mean, if they were smart, they would put Roman on there.
Yeah,
Like you're heading to freaking WrestleMania now, right? You need to start showing up more. So I'm curious to see how they're going to handle that. To be honest with you, um, but yeah, I don't know, man. It's gonna. I'll tell you what though, ratings are gonna start getting bigger and bigger because more and more people are gonna tune in to see what the hell is gonna happen after what happened. Like, there's
yeah,
people that haven't watched wrestling in years jumping into the conversation of what's going on.
yeah,
You know, that's why you have so many people that don't watch wrestling going, "Oh yeah, man, this is all work. This was all planned to begin with." Like, bro, like you guys haven't even watched wrestling in forever. Like, what are you guys talking about? Like, have you even
yeah,
been following what's going on? So yeah, and it's been quite a few people doing that too. So it's gonna be interesting. Can't wait to see what's going to happen. Let's go ahead and turn over for the last 15 minutes here to AEW. Um, Not a whole lot going on. I feel sorry for AEW right now because
yeah,
they're just kind of being overshadowed with everything in WWE. So I didn't catch all of Dynamite. I caught most of it. The important stuff. I watched the
yeah,
Hangman Swerve match. Man, these guys are just phenomenal, man.
Yeah.
Phenomenal. And it was a double turn because they turned Swerve face and turned Hangman heel in the same match. Time limit draw. I love when like
Yeah.
my brother, my younger brother, hates the time limit draw matches. He's like, it's so stupid, man. They have too many of them. And I'm like, bro, every match in wrestling has a time limit. Don't you
Yeah.
think it's kind of odd that no matches in WWE ever end in a time limit draw? Like, if it was real, if wrestling was real, and you have these real competitors that are like real good wrestlers, don't you think if it was in real life, you would see some draws by time running out? Like, if
Yeah.
a match is 20 minutes, right, you would think there would be a lot more draws. That's one thing WWE doesn't do that to me they should capitalize on because
Yeah.
it's a great story mechanic, right? If you want both guys to come out of the match looking strong and no one be looked weak, best way to do that because WWE they'll just have like interference or disqualification
Yeah.
to make the guy look good, not look weak by falling from a pin. No time limit, I think, is perfect, man. I love when they do that. They did it against um MJF and Adam Cole. And I love that too because that was the whole story going into All In, you
Yeah.
know. So I thought it was a phenomenal match. I loved when Swerve was knocked out of the ring and Prince Nana couldn't help him, so he just started dancing to try to get his attention. Like, dude, I was laughing so hard. And then Hangman hit him with the chair, and that was like the turn right there when the fans turned on Hangman so quick.
Oh yeah.
Um, so that match was awesome. You have any thoughts on that match and the triple threat that's set up for the pay per view?
Um, the match itself, I mean, like you said, it was great. He and Swerve and Hangman, I just think have great chemistry with each other. I mean, they've had like two really good matches before this. This was good, and I think this really and it does set up the triple threat at Revolution with Joe, Swerve, and Hangman perfectly well. Um, and also the double turn I found really interesting because, and I think I saw someone joking about it on social media where he's like, "Yeah, we're gonna turn the guy who committed home invasion, baby face here. He's the hero of the story, and we're gonna have Hangman be the heel." But it also makes sense too because Swerve is somebody that like. He's a guy that they really need to put the world title on.
They do.
And this is coming as somebody who really likes Samoa Joe. Like, I think he won the title in a. I don't want to say he was just given the title because MJF was hurt, but I feel like the circumstances gave Joe the belt, which is great. I like Joe,
Yeah.
but it's kind of one of those he was at the right place at the wrong time. I think
Mhm.
Swerve should have been the one to beat MJF. Swerve should be the one being the world champion. But I don't necessarily know if they're gonna have him win at Revolution because Joe literally just won the belt.
That's
What
that's the thing.
December?
Yeah, that's the thing I'm stuck on, man. I agree with everything you just said, right? Like I love Samoa Joe, right? I just he shouldn't be champion that long. I felt like circumstances gave him the title, and I think Samoa Joe was supposed to be Adam Cole, but Adam Cole
Yeah,
got hurt, so they couldn't do that storyline. So they did this whole thing with Samoa Joe, which kind of weaved into the storyline fine. But I don't think Tony Khan was expecting Swerve to get as hot as he did because
yeah,
it happened at Wrestle Dream, right? The
yeah,
first match with Hangman, right? And then that led into the home invasion, which led into the Texas Death Match. And then after that Texas Death Match, it just put Swerve on a whole other pedestal.
yeah,
I remember when I went to Dynamite, the go home episode before or not Revolution, but World's End. Um there's thousands of people in line waiting to get into the arena, and they're just chanting whose house, Swerve's house, right? And
yeah,
like during the commercial break, people are chanting that. Like they were so over for Swerve. So I like the time limit draw going into the triple threat. I just feel like you have to put the title on them.
yeah,
And but I agree with you, they're not going to because Samoa Joe just got the title. So what
yeah,
are you gonna do? There's two different outcomes they can do. One, Samoa Joe could put some or put Swerve to sleep, right?
yeah,
Swerve didn't tap out, almost like Stone Cold passing out, with the blood from Bret Hart.
yeah,
That could put Swerve over even more. Or you have Samoa Joe just pin Hangman. you
Yeah.
know. But Swerve can't take a pin. He cannot
Yeah.
take a pin. And the thing I'm more worried about than anything is I love AEW, but Tony Khan does not know when to strike when the iron's hot,
Yeah.
right? You have someone who is over like Grover, man, and then he will just not do nothing with it until the fans just kind of give up on that person.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the thing that kind of sucks, man. It's like the Acclaim, right? I like the Acclaim. But
Yeah.
why aren't the Acclaim the tag team champions? Why are they the trio champions?
Yeah.
Right? It's like he just does some weird decisions sometimes. It's like the Acclaim should be like a tag team champions in the tag team division, right? Malachi, people want to see Malachi in the singles matches, right?
Yeah.
Malachi could be going for the TBS title, not the TBS, that's the women's, but the TNT title or the international title or something like that. Like there's so many different things. Like Miro too, right? Miro was hot
Yeah.
for a little bit and then he kind of cooled off because they didn't do nothing with him. This is why, like, people. Another one, a great example of this one was Sammy Guevara,
Yeah.
right? After the Four Pillars match, dude, when Sammy Guevara came out, was like, "Hey, we're having a baby," dude. That instantly turned him into a baby face. When him and his wife announced they were having a baby, it instantly turned him into a baby face. He even came out on the next Dynamite and whatnot. He's like, "Yeah, you know, I've been thinking about things and stuff like this." And you're thinking like, oh yeah, like he's gonna leave the Jericho Society and he's gonna go do singles match and pursue single titles, right? And then they kind of made it just stretch on for like months, where he's with Jericho, but he's not really with Jericho, but he's with Jericho,
Yeah.
and they just completely killed the momentum from that Four Pillars match. And
Yeah.
that's one of Tony Khan's biggest problems is he doesn't read the room and see where things go. Like the women's title, for example, right? You had Paige win the women's title at All In, and then like a month later she loses it. It's like,
Yeah.
what? What's going on here? You know? So that little rant brings me to our next part of AEW. Tony Khan's announcement for the Boston show. It's called Big Business. No doubt, this is Sasha Banks, aka Mercedes Monet, because big business, you know, the boss, Boston's her hometown. So she's
Yeah.
gonna Tony Khan needs to stop making these announcements.
Yeah.
You know, what makes wrestling fun is people showing up unexpected. You know, when you're watching Survivor Series and Cult of Personality hits and CM Punk comes out, that's awesome. You didn't have Triple H like a week before going, "Hey, tune in to a limit or Survivor Series." You know, we're gonna have a big announcement at Survivor. Like, no, it's the
Oh.
spontaneous thing. Like Eric Bischoff didn't come out and say, "Hey, tune in to Nitro. We're gonna have like Razor Ramon show up." You know, it just
Yeah.
I don't understand why he keeps doing that. It takes the
Like
surprise out of it.
I- Tony Khan has more announcement than Roman Reigns has returns at this point.
Dude, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. And I understand his mentality for it. Like,
Yeah.
oh, if I announce this, then we're gonna sell more tickets,
Yeah.
right? Okay, I get that mindset. But you know what's gonna sell more tickets in the long run? The fact that anything can happen on your show at any given night.
Yeah.
Right? That's why the Attitude Era was so crazy. It was so hot because you didn't know who's gonna show up on Nitro. You didn't know
Yeah.
who was gonna show up on Raw. You know, if you're just watching Dynamite and then here comes Mercedes Monet out of nowhere just attacking Tony Storm, bro, that's gonna have highlights all over
Yeah.
Twitter and stuff. But now everybody's gonna tune into that show expecting to see
Yeah.
Mercedes Monet. Like it's stupid. It's stupid. Like it's bad when TNA does a better reveal with Dolph Ziggler than Tony Khan can do with all these high profile people he gets, you know?
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Like I I think we even talked about this last episode. I think we all knew going into this that Mercedes was coming to AEW.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's not the biggest deal of him going, "Oh no, we're gonna do a big thing next week." That's fine. Like if you already know it's gonna happen, it's just like, okay, that's kind of cool. But when you're doing it all the time, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, he does it with everything. At I think it was World's End when he signed Will Ospreay. He's like, I got a big announcement. We're signing a huge star, right? It's like, why? Why are you doing public signings anyway? Just
Yeah.
have these characters show up. You know, that gets more people talking. when people don't expect things to happen. Like Tony Khan just needs to stop with announcements, right?
Yeah.
Just stop with it. Unless you're announcing like, hey, tickets are going on sale here. You need someone like, I don't know if you remember, I don't know if you're a big fan of TNA or not, but they
Oh,
had
I love TNA.
Don West back in the day.
Yeah.
He used to do like all these announcements and stuff like, hey, coming to your city, or hey, go over to TNAshop.com. Like Tony Khan needs a guy like that to promote
Yeah.
their ticket sales and stuff. But he needs to stay off camera. One, he's not very good on camera.
Oh.
But and he needs to stop with the announcement. Tony Khan's a super nice guy. I went
Yeah.
to Ring of Honor and AEW, and both times he came out and actually had a talk with the fans and you know, kind of like really thanked them. Like that's really cool. You know, I'm like Dixie Carter used to do that. I remember when I went to Hardcore Revolution when they did the ECW reunion show.
Yeah.
Dixie Carter actually went through the fans and shook everybody's hand, right? Like she shook my hand, everything. She said, "Thank you so much for coming. This means a lot." Like I like when promoters do that, but don't spoil the surprise of your show by doing announcements. So I think it's what March 17th, or not 17th, but whenever that big business episode comes out, everybody's gonna know what's gonna happen. You
Yeah.
know, and stop titling your show special events.
Yeah.
Right? He's got like winter games and this thing. Dude, this is just an episode of Dynamite. Stop titling it like this is a
Yeah.
movie. You know, save that for pay-per-views. If you want to do like just do 12 pay-per-views a year like everybody else does, and stop doing these special Dynamite shows with special titles because it's just confusing, man.
Yeah. If they're gonna do the 12 pay-per-views a year, I would prefer them to have a streaming service because
So
I
do I.
because I'm gonna be real, like, because I think they're still using the old pay-per-view model of $60 to
It
pay-per-view.
yeah.
I just no, that's way too expensive for like,
Ah,
like at least with WWE with the streaming thing, it's like what $5-10 for
yeah.
like a pay per view, and plus you get all the content,
Yeah.
previous content. So it's like okay, you're getting a decent deal, but $60, I'm like, I don't know. I mean, yeah, it's like the pay per views are really long and you're gonna get really good matches, but $60 is really pushing it.
Yeah. I mean, I bought every pay-per-view last year.
Yeah,
It wasn't like 12 because they don't do them every month, but I bought every one they did. And I think there was only one pay-per-view that I said that wasn't a good pay-per-view. And that was World's End. That was the
yeah,
one where MJF lost the title. I just thought that pay-per-view wasn't compared to their quality of standards
yeah,
of the way like I know when I spend my $60, I'm gonna get match of the year contenders every
yeah,
single time. And I just felt like the last pay-per-view was sort of a dud. But I agree with you. I want to see them because they're with TNT and TBS, right? Which is
yeah,
Time Warner. Well, not Time Warner anymore, but Warner Brothers, you know. I want to see them do a deal with HBO Max, you
yeah,
know, because right now it's hard to watch Dynamite, right? You can watch it on the TBS and TNT apps. If you have cable, you can watch it on those apps. That's about really it, you know, or
yeah,
if you have YouTube TV or something like that. If you put it on HBO Max, then you have a monthly you know, pay-per-view that you can do for streaming people. It'll bring more people to HBO Max. You can put Dynamite and Collision on there.
yeah.
Just do different things. I think I love your idea. I've been wanting it for months now, but you know, who knows if they're even going to be with Warner Brothers when their contract's up now.
Yeah. And I also like, and this is also something I really wish Tony Khan would do too. Just make Rampage the ROH show because what are they doing with Rampage?
What are they doing with Ring of Honor?
No, but we don't know.
You know, the thing is because you can only watch Ring of Honor if you pay for the app, and it's like $10 a month,
Yeah.
right? But the thing is, they're not doing nothing with Ring of Honor. All their Ring of Honor champions are AEW talent.
Yeah.
You know, like I went to Ring of Honor last year, loved it. I thought it was phenomenal, right? Great
Yeah.
presentation, everything, right? But you know, you're not really promoting Ring of Honor. And every time you give AEW wrestlers the Ring of Honor titles, it devalues the
Yeah.
Ring of Honor talent, you know? But the one thing I will say about Rampage, in defense of Rampage, is Rampage is filmed after Dynamite.
Yeah.
So in our case, when I went to go see Dynamite, all the high flyers that are really exciting They showed in the Rampage segment
Yeah.
because you're sitting through 2 hours of Dynamite, you get really good wrestling, but then a lot of people are kind of burnt out. But then you put the high flyers like Orange Cassidy and all those guys in there, and it wakes up the crowd again for Rampage. But I like that idea.
Yeah.
They need to do something with Collision because
Yeah.
as an AEW fan, dude, I haven't watched Collision since CM Punk got fired.
Yeah. That was the only reason why they even made Collision in the first
Yeah,
place, because
and
nobody wanted to work with Punk.
yeah, dude, I watched every episode of Collision when Punk was there. When he put the X through the title, he's like, "This is the real time." Like, dude, it had me hooked, and I liked what they were doing with Ricky Stark and him and everything. And I was like, "Okay, this is cool. This is cool." And then as soon as he got fired, I was like, "There's really they're not doing anything with Collision." And the ratings are awful. I heard it was like under 300,000.
I'm not surprised. And that sucks because for like a Saturday wrestling show is a good idea, especially when you're doing like stuff on the weekends.
Yeah,
And Saturday's ideal. Like I like WWE doing the pay-per-views on Saturdays, which is fine because let's be honest, Sundays just suck.
I
Like
wish AEW would do that.
yeah, but now they're like it's disappointing because Collision as an idea can work. Put the guys that aren't going to work on, Dynamite, who are not going to be fixtures, have them work Collision. But if you do that, then you kind of have to do a brand split thing, and you don't want to do a brand split thing, but you're going to have to because there's so many. It's just so bloated that
It is.
you have to start doing that to make it interesting. But then you got to introduce new titles, which AEW has way too many titles right now. Like
Yeah,
they need to start trimming the fat because you not only have the ROH titles, but AEW has the world title, the TNT title, the
the
international
trios.
title, the trios title, which realistically they're not doing anything with, the tag titles, the two women's titles. Then they introduced the Continental title last year, so that's 8 belts right there.
FTW title.
The FTW title, which I guess that's an official title. That's like 9
I mean,
belts.
he's defended it a couple times. So
Yeah,
whether it's official or not official, it's still being defended on your show.
yeah. Like
But
that's 9 titles.
yeah, it's ridiculous, right? Like, first of all, they should get rid of the TNT and the TBS title.
Yeah,
If just make it one title.
yeah,
Call it the TV title,
yeah,
right? And people are probably like, "Well, Rob, that's not fair. You're getting rid of a women's title." No, make it a women's tag titles.
yeah,
They have so many women wrestlers. There should be a women. Get rid of the trios titles. So that eliminates the 3 trio titles. Get rid of both the TV titles and make it one men's TV title, and then
yeah,
make the women's tag title and get rid of the FTW title. If you want the international title with the Continental title, okay, I like the Continental title, but you're only defending it with the other 2 belts, so you can never get that belt separate. So
yeah,
that almost makes that irrelevant. I would say kill that altogether anyway. Or if you want to make that the prominent second title, then get rid of the international title.
yeah,
You're right. There are way too many times. You watch a show, bro, and it seems like everybody has a belt.
yeah,
They come out like this, they have belts, and they have the Ring of Honor belts, and they have like, whoa, like you have the Ring of Honor World Belt, Ring of Honor Pure title, Ring of Honor TV title, Ring of Honor Tag title, Ring of Honor Trio title, like way too many fucking belts in this show.
yeah. Like, and I know everyone's easy, but well, WWE has a lot of titles. First of all, there's a brand split, so
Yeah,
realistically, you have to have many titles. And I know everyone's going, well, what about NXT? Well, NXT is its own thing,
yeah,
so that's kind of excusable.
yeah.
But and plus the NXT's titles are not on WWE programming all the time. Like they're just on NXT TV, which is fine.
Other than Dom and Becky going to NXT and winning the North America and women's, that's the
Yeah,
only time they ever had a crossover.
yeah,
But literally in 2023, at one point at the end of 2023, every Ring of Honor title was held by AEW wrestlers.
yeah. I think Eddie Kingston right now is the ROH World Champion, and he's an
Yeah,
AEW one.
yeah. Cesario was the world champion. MJF and Adam Cole were the tag champions. Um, I think the trios were still run by Ring of Honor, but other than that, like every title was held by AEW. It was
Yeah,
crazy. Like, I remember listening to podcasts and they're like, why do you have Ring of Honor titles on you're burying your Ring of Honor talent by doing that?
Yeah. And, and let's be real here, like ROH right now, is it really that big of a company anymore? Like, do this merger with AEW? I just
No,
no.
it's basically AEW's NXT,
Yeah,
but they're not treating it as prestigious as NXT is being treated. NXT is being treated as its own separate thing.
yeah,
There's crossover from time to time, sure, but like Ring of Honor does not feel like it's being promoted as its own thing. It doesn't have, well, it does have its own pay-per-views, but nothing's being promoted that way.
no,
I think a streaming service would help out a lot of their stuff if they had a streaming service. And I would, like, even if they don't want to go with like Peacock or anything, just do like WWE did when they had the WWE network. Make it the AEW network, right? Charge shit. I would pay if you're gonna put all your pay-per-view stuff there, I would pay $15 a month for that.
yeah,
Like you're putting all the Ring of Honor shows, Dynamites, and AEW pay-per-views. I'll pay, man, dude. Like, it might be a little high. I would even pay 20 a month if you're gonna give
yeah,
me all that content. Do that, man, because right now their their stuff is being washed out. You
yeah.
know, too many titles. I still think they have way too many wrestlers.
It's way too bloated.
Yeah, it's like you turn on Dynamite, you don't know who you're gonna see. They have so many wrestlers, you never know who you're gonna see. You turn on Raw and SmackDown, you know if you turn on Raw, you're gonna see Cody, Jay, Drew, Seth, right? They don't have that over in.
No,
It really feels like WCW back in '96 when WCW had so many wrestlers. They had all kinds of people coming out there, and you never knew who you were gonna see. You know?
like they had so many wrestlers, they didn't even know who was on their payroll. It was
Yeah,
that bad.
yeah.
Um, I think in 2024, and I know like Tony Khan probably won't, but he needs to start trimming down the fat. Like he needs to
He
look at
does.
what works, what doesn't work, and then go from there. I think he needs to cut some. He needs to let wrestlers go, because if you're not going to use them, why even keep them there? Like there's even wrestlers that have said like, why are we here if we're not going to do anything? And then get rid of some of the titles. Have ROH be its own programming. Don't have them even on like Dynamite. Don't have them on Collision. Just make Rampage the ROH show. Make that like an ROH show. Let the ROH guys work there, and then just make it so it's not as too much. And I think that's where I would hope that he would go. But until then, it's just needs to be seen. Um, Also, I don't know if we have time, but are we going to talk about Sting winning the tag
Yeah,
title?
I was gonna transition to that
Yeah,
now. So yeah, I didn't get a chance to watch the match yet, but Sting and Darby Allin won the tag titles, and then they were jumped right afterwards by the Young Bucks. Bloody mess, everything. I saw clips of it. Apparently Sting did not want to win the tag titles. Sting said when he signed, he didn't want to win any titles because he didn't want to make it about himself.
yeah,
I don't like the idea of them winning the tag titles either.
I don't
And
either.
this is why I don't like it. Because they only won the tag titles to put the titles on the Young Bucks, because the Young Bucks are going to be the ones that retire. Whoa, my mic completely, yeah, my mic messed up a little bit. But yeah, they put the tag titles on Sting so the Young Bucks can retire Sting and then win the titles.
Yeah,
Oh, go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you
no,
off.
I was gonna say I just don't like that as an idea. It,
It's sloppy.
yeah,
And the reason why it's sloppy, and this is just the reason why it's sloppy. I don't know if you followed a lot of the stuff behind the scenes, but originally at at um at the last pay-per-view World's End, it was supposed to be FTR versus Young Bucks for the titles,
right,
right? But FTR, because of the whole situation with one of them with the gun and getting stuff like that, they ended up dropping the titles to Ricky Stark and Big Bill for no reason, right?
yeah,
Like these guys beat all the best tag teams, right? They beat Jay White and Juice Robinson, like beat all these guys, and then they just lose to Ricky Stark and Big Bill. It was so weird. So to me, it's just a sloppy way to finally get the titles back on the Young Bucks. It just doesn't
yeah,
make a whole lot of sense. It should have been FTR versus Young Bucks titles line. So now they did the sloppy thing where they gave it to Ricky Stark and Big Bill. They gave it to Sting, and now the Young Bucks are going to retire Sting and Darby Allin, or retire Sting anyway, get the titles, and that's probably going to lead into FTR challenging Young Bucks for the title. It's just very sloppy,
Yeah.
and it just doesn't make any sense. I don't even like the tag team match with Sting and Young Bucks anyway. I
Yeah.
felt like Sting's last match should have been against Darby Allin, passing the
Yeah.
torch.
No, and it should have been. I'm not trying to discredit the Young Bucks here, but it just feels very forced the way that they're going about it, because if Sting didn't want to win the titles, why would you give Sting the title?
Yeah.
Like, Sting clearly didn't come to AEW to be champion. He clearly just wanted to have one final run where he could say like, "Hey, at least I wrestled my last like real run," just so that he still has it, and then maybe transition to more of a backstage personality. But it's just, it feels like the only real person that could really benefit from this is Darby, because it's like, hey, he won the tag title,
Yes. Yes.
But Sting, realistically, does he really need it? No. I mean, the guy, he's done so much. Like, what is a tag belt really gonna do?
Yeah.
In fairness, you could use the argument of, well, it's harmless. It's a tag title. Like, sure. But really, the final match is gonna be with the Young Bucks. Like, out of everybody, like, I think honestly, and this is just me being like a more of a story guy, but if you really want Sting to go out in a title match, why not have it with Samoa Joe?
Yes.
Like, have the story be Samoa Joe is like, hey, remember in TNA when I was world champion, you screwed me out of my one and only title run, and
Yeah.
since then I was treated as a joke, where I had like the little tattoo on my head and
Yeah.
got kidnapped by ninjas and part of
Yeah. Yeah.
a beatdown clan.
That
I
was so
need
awful.
Oh god, it was so bad. His whole thing could be, look, I can't be world champion until I beat you.
Yeah.
That's that could have worked, but the Young Bucks,
Yeah,
no.
it's just a sloppy thing.
Yeah,
I like what they're doing with the Young Bucks, where they're like, "Hey, we're the execs here and all this," and they're like getting really kind of cocky and stuff. I like that. So they're trying to make the best out of the situation. I just think it was very very sloppily put together
yeah,
for Sting's last match, and yeah, I just think it was kind of crazy. So,
yeah.
but um, yeah, we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up here. We went well over the hour mark because there was a lot of stuff to cover. You have any final thoughts before we finish up for the week?
All I will say is, in AEW at least, Christian's your TNT champ, Sting is a tag champ, and Samoa Joe's your world champion. TNA stays winning.
Yes, yes, that's true, man. As an old school TNA fan, it's definitely good to see, man. I those massive fan of TNA back in the day, man.
Yeah.
Massive fan. But all right, everybody. I appreciate everybody for stopping by, smashing the like button. Big shout out to Red for the 2 super chats. Be sure to, guys, if you haven't already done so, smash that like button, and we will catch you guys next week. And until then, everybody stay safe. Later.